Welcome back to the Crypto's Key Conversation. You're going to have to bear with me. I'm kind of going through like some little voice change with this sickness I'm dealing with. But I wanted to give you a quick update on what's going on with the Ripple versus SC stuff. So this is from James K. Filing. It says the Crypto Council for Innovation has requested permission to file an amicus brief in support of the Ripple's defendant's brief in opposition to the SEC's motion for summary judgment. The proposed brief is in Exhibit A. So Eleanor Terrett has spoke on it. Says irony at its finest. Jay Clayton and Bill Hemmett are now inadvertently supporting Ripple through their associations with Electric Capital and A16Z, which are both members of the Crypto Council. It says, quote, CCI thus represents the views of the industry veterans. I mean, there is a lot of irony there. XRP Crypto World says Jay Clayton's biggest regret was suing Ripple over XRP and wants to make things right. Clown. Continuing on here, let me move my mic a little closer. James K. Fallon says Valhill Capital LLC has requested permission to file an amicus brief in support for Ripple defendant's motion for summary judgment, the proposed brief. So that's another one. So we were talking about, I think last video I made it, we were like at 6, and I think we're at like double digits now, 10 or so, which is, you can see, people are in the community. There's been people talking about, you have bandwagoners, but at the end of the day, that doesn't matter. We are where we are, and any support that's going to, shed light on the wrongdoings of SEC at this point is huge. And this is a big one right here. It says, hashtag Coinbase has filed a request to file an amicus brief in support of Ripple's fair notice defense. And XRP Crypto Wolves have put this up on October 29th. He says, how crazy would it be if Coinbase and Consensus filed an amicus brief supporting Ripple? And he goes, holy crap, I was right. Now we just need Consensus to follow amicus brief supporting Ripple with a laughing face. So this is huge. Rathan Kahneman says, quick summary. Coinbase makes the case that the SEC has failed to give crypto world a notice or any notice at all. The facts aren't in dispute. Interesting. There's no mention of their own inquiries referencing XRP, but they go hard on the constitutional issues of fair notice and the SEC's failure. So what he's saying here is, there's no inquiries of this is what I'm getting from it at least. There's no inquiries of them, vetting XRP before they listed it on their platform, right? Obviously Coinbase, Brian Armstrong and Coinbase had quickly delisted it whenever the lawsuit had dropped. But the crazy thing is they talk about how there's their vetting process and how they look into these token or these digital assets that they list on their platform goes through this, very fine, you could say in a sense like a regulation funnel that before they list these assets, they make sure that they're compliant. But the thing is, though, it's like they didn't put any of that in there. They're just talking about just a fair notice argument when it comes to constitutional issues. Jeremy Hogan says, I was waiting to read about Coinbase analysis from 2018, which analysis apparently concluded XRP was not a security. And that's what I'm just talking about just now. He says, but it was nowhere to be seen. But all would be forgiven if XRP was relisted tomorrow. So speaking of relisted, Big Boy Crypto, Brian Armstrong, and the community members have been hashtagging relist XRP. And I highly recommend if you're in support of Ripple in this SEC litigation, and you are truly for the industry and a fan of XRP, I recommend that you retweet those things and hashtag relist XRP as well, so we can kind of make some waves with that. This is from Riz XRP. It says hashtag Coinbase VP on Amicus. So let's take a listen to this. It's kind of explain their view on why they filed an amicus brief.
Have just filed to support Ripple against the SEC case. What can you tell us about that?
So we've not only filed we filed an amicus brief, a Friends of the Court brief in supporting the Ripple litigation. We've also done it with the Grayscale ETP. And just broadly speaking, these are issues of fair notice, meaning regulators need to give the market fair notice of expected conduct before they take an enforcement action. I think it's been very clear over the past 5 years. The rules have been unclear. It's not clear how to what the SEC is asking for generally.
The crazy thing is we were talking about how Joe Lubin, from Consensus was talking about it's quite clear, and Gary Gensler saying it's quite clear as well. And, the crazy thing is they're the only two people within the entire industry that is talking about how clear it is. But you have people within the actual SEC saying that it's not clear. Now you have, Coinbase VP coming out saying it's not clear. You have community members within the XRP community saying it's not clear. It hasn't been clear. They're literally, they've utilized this case, this Ripple versus SEC case as a weapon. They've literally tried to, instill more tribalism within the community. And there's just a lot of just shady behaviors, conflicts of interest that's really plagued our industry as a whole. And it's not just about XRP and Ripple. It's about the entire industry. And Johnny Deaton from the beginning of the lawsuit has made that quite clear. And it's quite evident more now today than ever. This from James K. Fallon as well says, folks, don't be surprised if tomorrow I'm posting a motion by the SEC asking for additional pages and additional time to respond to all these amicus briefs. It's coming. So after, I think I was after the sixth one, I think I had mentioned it in the video, if I'm not mistaken. I was talking about like all these things, all these amicus briefs coming in and them being approved and there not being any, objection, on the SEC's behalf, knowing that the judges are going to approve, their objection. All I could think about was like, oh man, here we come, more delays. And now, now we're in double digits, or, now we have as many amicus briefs we have. I totally agree with this. And I wouldn't be surprised if this was the case. It just falls right into their tactics in regards of delaying the inevitable. I know they know what's going on. They probably have some sort of plan. Who knows if they're working out some sort of settlement agreement and they're just trying to string this thing out. No one really knows, but I'm definitely expecting some delays here. Eleanor Charrett hit it on the head too, says the SEC lawyers certainly have their work cut out for them. XRP Crypto says, makes sense why everyone at the SEC is quitting. I want to play this. This is from Digital Asset Investor, and he's referencing Jeremy Hogan's video that he had put up. I highly recommend you go to Legal Briefs from Jeremy Hogan and listen to his recent video on the Ripple versus SC litigation. He says, this is the heart of the matter. Gary Gensler is protecting his career advancement. Bill Hinman and Jay Clayton were protecting what? None of them were protecting investors. Congress, where are you? So let's listen to this.
Look at page 19 of Deaton's brief. Quote, the SEC was well aware that the mere filing of this case would cause multi-billion losses to innocent third parties, he's citing to Mr. Grunfest's letter. His warning was more than accurate because the damages were more than $15 billion, and the disruption of numerous innovative applications of XRP resulted. Buried underneath the $15 billion in losses are real people who have been severely harmed, not by market volatility, but because at best, the SEC fundamentally misunderstands the underlying technology, or at worst, has been deliberately misleading so as to arrogate for the SEC optionality as this litigation progressed, close quote. And that, I think, sums up what the judge needs to learn from this brief. Real people harmed by a government agency that is supposed to be protecting them, but apparently has bigger priorities other than protecting investors.
I mean, this isn't anything new to us in our community. We've been talking about this for some time now. I mean, we've been in litigation almost 2 years. I mean, that's been quite evident. So there's some drama here in the community, and I'm going to start with this one, and I'm going to backtrack here. It says, actually, no, I'm going to just come up to the top. So this from Jake Travinsky. It says, it's rare in the world of SEC enforcement to see public outcry register on a federal court docket in the way we've seen from XRP holders since December 2020. And Johnny Deaton deserves a lot of credit for that and for this brief. I look forward to reading the SEC's reply. Coming out here, Matt Corver says, odd choice to cheer for people who drive unfounded conspiracy theories. So remember, we've been talking about, that little phrase, unfounded, they say unfounded speculation, unfounded conspiracy theories. So this is what Matt Corver is saying. He says, unfounded conspiracy theories that lead to financially motivated mobs terrorizing private citizens with unfounded accusations, including calling private numbers to tell people they're coming after them, but to each of their own. Jake Travinsky says, hopefully it's obvious I'm not cheering for those things and don't support them. And then Matt Corver says, I know you're not cheering for that behavior, but hard to separate the two, hard to support their calls when this nonsense is going on. So that's from Matt Corver. We know about Matt Corver in our community here. But continuing on here, Johnny Deaton says, if SEC said XRP wasn't a security in 2018 and Gary Gensler sued Consensus, Joseph Lubin, Vitalik Buterin, claiming today's ETH is a security, considering I own more ETH than XRP, I would have sued the SEC and had 75K ETH holders join. See the difference between a hero and a conspiracy theorist? Coming down here, Digital Asset Investor says, looks like Matt Corver picked a Hawkins talking point. So he's talking about Charles Hawkinson when he was pretty much calling out the same unfounded conspiracy theory in his, remember we were covering it on past videos about Charles Hawkinson on the Tony Thinking Crypto interview that he had. So he's saying, looks like Matt Korba picked at Hawkinson's talking points. Since they can't dispute the facts, they call it conspiracy or lie and make it sound like John Deaton somehow inciting violence. Lies. Instead, they should explain to us what in the timeline is wrong. And he had put up the timeline here. And that's the thing. I mean, you can't, if you're not going to dispute the facts, like, you're just making yourself look silly. I mean, that's just the fact is hard facts. It's almost like arguing with someone that literally is just operating off emotion. There's no logic and there's no facts behind what they're saying. It's almost merely pointless. But I mean, we know of Matt Korba. We have video footage, and we've been talking about Matt Korba and the involvement within this whole thing. Obviously, we know, Consensus, Joseph Lubin, all the conflicts of interest within the SEC. Everything's all, in here, and it's not in dispute. It's in the timeline that he had put up here, and I'm gonna put it on here so you can. There's none of this. No one has stepped up and said anything. That's what. Okay, how do I get out of this? That's what blows my mind about everything. It's just like, okay, it's like literally people's feelings are hurt. And that's just sad to me to see that, especially grown men, grown adults. It's not even just men, grown adults doing that. But coming over here to CoinGecko, we're currently sitting at a $1.05 trillion market cap, currently up 0.3%. Bitcoin sitting at 20,488. Ethereum sitting at 1580. XRP sitting just below 46.5 cents. So that's what I have for you. That's just a quick update. I know I've been out for some time dealing with this sickness right now, but I'm going to continue to bring you content. Make sure you come to the Crypto is Key Conversation YouTube channel. Subscribe, follow us on Twitter at Crypto is Key 1. I really appreciate your support. With all that being said, stay strong out there. Be safe.